court is reconvened. Please be seated.
The record reflect the presence of counsel for the parties. The defendant is present, the jury is present. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time the state will be calling, or first of all, make a request to call out an order to witness Robert Lee.
May I approach this?
Yes.
Our touch on record.
Calling Robert Lee. Just remove standing in the first step, and then she'll swear you over this time.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
You may be seated. And you may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lee, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us your full name for the record?
Robert Louis Lee
And Mr. Lee, where do you reside?
on Haiku, Maui.
Which part in Haiku?
Um,
Well, let me ask you this. Are you familiar with the Jaws or the Peahi area?
yes, yes.
And where you reside, how far away is it from that area?
That's about a mile away. It's on Naheli,
Pardon me?
Naheli Road.
That's only about a mile away?
Yes.
And have you been up to the Jaws or the Peahi area?
Yes.
How long, let me ask you this, how long have you lived here in Maui?
Since about 45 years, 46 years.
And how long have you been up there in that Haiku area near the Jaws or Peahi?
Just about the whole time.
And when you do go up to Jaws or Peahi, what would you go up there for?
Well, during the time we go looking for car parts and abandoned vehicles.
Is that a place known to you where there are abandoned vehicles?
Yes.
And when you say looking for car parts, anything in particular you would be looking for?
No, just random, whatever, show up. It's like a dump site for vehicles, or a lot of people dump trash and stuff there.
Okay. So other than the trash, Mr. Lee, how long have you been going to the Peahi or the Jaws area to look for car parts on abandoned vehicles?
About 5-6 years.
And And what do you normally do with the car parts that you would take from the abandoned vehicles?
Mostly usually we recycled stuff.
And, for example, where would you go for recycling?
We get rid of the recycling stuff.
Yeah, where would you go? Here in Maui? Or?
Yeah, here in Maui, like, there's Reynolds Recycling or, I forget the other name of the place. So we just opened up.
Okay. And how could you tell that the vehicles that you take the parts from, how could you tell that they're abandoned?
Well, usually there'll be parts you see which are smashed and turned over or something like that.
Now, let me turn your attention to a time period that's more than 2.5 years ago. This would be around the middle part of February of 2014. At one point during that month, do you recall coming across a vehicle that you observed was burned?
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us how is it that you came across this vehicle?
Well, just, just a random drive through Jaws, and I saw this vehicle that was burned, completely burned, and it didn't look like anything was wrong with it, so I just thought it was a stolen car or something. This is all burned. I just looked at it like that. Anything wasn't really
And
salvageable.
No, it didn't look like anything was salvageable. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing.
And do you remember what kind of vehicle this was?
It's a Toyota 4Runner.
And when you saw this vehicle, when you approached it at the Jaws Piatti area, can you describe the vehicle and the position it was when you saw it?
It was just like the regular up on its all four wheels, and it was all complete except it was just burnt.
So it was on all fours.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: did you notice if the doors were still on this burned 4Runner that you just described?
It was all intact.
The doors are still there.
Yeah, everything that I could see was intact.
Now you mentioned that you did for five or so years get parts from an abandoned vehicle. Did you try to get any parts from this burned vehicle?
No.
Now, Mr. Lee, do you recall being interviewed by the police at your home, and this is after you had seen this burned vehicle? Do you recall being interviewed by the police at your house?
Yes.
And did you tell police that on the night that you saw the 4Runner parked at Jaws, you received a phone call? And that's how you knew about that?
I'm not sure if I received a phone call or if I called a friend of mine about that vehicle.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I'm not sure if I called someone about the vehicle or I got a call about it.
So you're not sure which it was?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I believe I called someone about the vehicle, that I saw a abandoned vehicle there. Another friend that does, salvaging street parts and stuff.
Okay, so did you tell the police though that you received the call? Or is that right or wrong?
I don't think that's right.
And do you know what time of the day it was when you went up to the Jaws or Piatti area to go and see this vehicle? When I say time of day, I mean, was it night or daytime?
It was at night.
Do you remember it being dark?
Yeah, it was nighttime.
Is that when you would normally go to the Jaws of Pahi area, at night you go to the
So
doors?
there's no normal time, just any, whenever I have extra time to go pick,
Okay.
drive through there.
And as far as the burned vehicle, can you describe in what type of area within Jaws it was?
Well, when you first enter into the area from the main road, it's just a circular lot that has the most, abandoned cars and vehicles. It's like a designated dump area. So
So when you say designated dump area, is it like in an open space or is it within?
It's like a opened up area, easy access.
Okay, General, this time the state would request permission to publish case exhibits 47 through 57, and I may not.
Yes, we will do so.
Thank you.
Publish.
Now, Mr. Lee, I'm going to show you what's already in evidence of begin with State's Exhibit 47, and I'm going to ask if you recognize this area. Can you see the monitor that's facing you? Do you recognize this area?
Yeah,
And what area is this?
this is the abandoned lot I was talking about.
And that's where people would put their, I mean, not people, but that's where abandoned vehicles would
Yeah.
be when you go there.
Vehicles and trash.
And I'm going to show you another picture, State's Exhibit 48, which is an evidence. And that's just a closer view. Is that the same area?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to show you State's Exhibit. State's Exhibit 51. Well, 51 is hard to see. Let me get you another exhibit. State's Exhibit 54. Hey, can you see that picture from where you're sitting?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recognize that vehicle?
Yeah.
And what is it that you recognize about that vehicle?
The burned and the vehicle next to it.
Is that the Forerunner that you saw on the night that you saw it?
It looks like it, but it had doors on it when I saw it.
Okay, because in this picture, the doors are missing, is that
Right.
correct?
Yes.
When you saw, were all four doors intact on this
Yes.
vehicle? And let me show you one more photograph. Or, I'm sorry, when you saw it, the vehicle was on all four wheels like it is right now?
Yes.
Showing you State's Exhibit 50. When you saw the vehicle, it wasn't on the side like you see it here in State's Exhibit
No.
50. Now, do you remember, Mr. Lee, which day you would have seen this vehicle? I'm sorry, which night you would have seen this vehicle?
I believe it was a Monday night. I believe. Pretty sure.
Okay. As you sit there right now, is that what your memory is?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, let me just blank this off. Now, at some point, Mr. Lee, do you recall making contact with a Lieutenant Dodds with respect to the missing doors of the vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you call him or did he call you?
Well, he came to my residence.
Well, he appeared at your residence. And before Lieutenant Dodds appeared at your residence, did you know that the doors to the vehicle that you had seen on that Monday night were at some point taken off the car?
No.
When did you first find out that the doors were missing from that car?
The morning that the lieutenant came and questioned me.
And when Lieutenant Dodds came and questioned you, was that the next morning after you saw the burned vehicle, or was that more down?
Or was it one a day after? Not, it was 2 days later. 1 day later, 2 days. Could you repeat that again? What was that?
I'm good. Okay, my question to you is, when did Lieutenant Dodds come to your house
Yes.
and ask you about the doors of the vehicle? How many days later was that from the time you
Oh, you're gonna
saw the
just-
burned car?
Oh, okay. That was probably, I'd say almost a week. 5, 6 days.
And at that time, did you know where the car doors were for that vehicle? Can you tell us what request was made of you by Lieutenant Dodds with respect to the missing car doors from that vehicle we just saw?
Well, he came to my residence and he said that they're just,
Object is the yours, sir?
You know, this goes to the effect that it has on Mr. Lee's later conduct in securing the doors.
For that limited purpose, the objection is overruled. The response will be limited to that purpose.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Lee, please tell us, what did Lieutenant Dodds request of you when he was at your house?
well, they came to my residence and asked me about the Forerunner, if I knew what happened to the doors. They were interested in finding the doors. They asked me if I could help them find them, if they knew anyone, just to point them in the right direction, or, you know, if there's any way I could help them find out where the doors went. I said, okay, I'm sorry.
And when he spoke with you, did he assure you or tell you whether or not you would be in any trouble?
Yeah, yes, he said that we're just here strictly just to see if we can help us out find the doors. No, nothing else.
Did he discuss payment with you, if you were able to find the doors, whether there'd be any type of payment?
Well, yeah, that's part of his question. He said, if there's any way you could find out, if you could just point us in the right direction, you know, no names have to be involved, and we'll even give you money, they said.
When you say they, is this Lieutenant Dodds?
Yeah.
And, Mr. Lee, did you agree to assist the Maui Police Department with this request?
I said, I'll see what I can do.
And is there a reason why you agreed to assist them or help the police in this search? Is there a reason why you agreed to help them?
Well, you mentioned money, huh?
Now, were you able to help Lieutenant Dodds in his request?
What's that?
Were you able to help Lieutenant
Yes,
Dodds? Did you
yes.
find the doors?
Yes.
Or not find the doors, but did you
Yeah.
were you able to point Lieutenant Dodds to the doors?
Yes.
Yeah, how long did it take you?
For 3 days.
And was it something easy or is it hard?
It was hard to find out.
After you, or let me ask you this, what did you do in helping Lieutenant Dodds with this request?
Well, I just asked around to a bunch of people I know that ran through cars and car parts or was in the area, and I found out that they threw them away somewhere in the Omaha High School
So,
area.
an object, you're saying?
You know, this time, again, this is not offered for the truth matter, but to demonstrate the reason for both Mr. Lee's and Lieutenant Dodd's conduct thereafter.
It's for the truth of the matter, sir.
I will allow the response of the witness for the limited purpose of explaining the surrounding events and not for the purpose of the truth of the matter asserted.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Lee, can you tell us what information did you receive about the doors? You're starting to say that doors were thrown away. Can you
Well, I
start
found
with
out
that?
that the doors were in the Maui High area, Omaha High School area.
Can you repeat though before that what happened with the doors? You said someone threw it away or discarded
Found
it?
out through asking around for people that the doors were thrown away at the old high school area.
And the old Mountain High School area, what type of area is this? Is this field, parking lot? How would you describe
Cane
it?
fields.
Pardon me?
Cane fields.
And this is after about 3 days you found that out?
Yes.
And when you found that out, what did you do with that information?
We called lieutenant.
And did you make personal contact with Lieutenant Dodge at a later time?
Yeah.
And what can you describe that? What did you guys do?
He called him up, asked him if he was working. He said he can be, and 45 minutes to an hour after that, we met at the old high school road.
And what did you two do at the old Maui High School road?
We showed him, we located the doors and showed him the doors, and
Okay, so were you able to find the doors?
yes,
And can you tell us how were the doors when you found them?
there were just 4 doors lying down on the ground next to each other.
I mean, were they in the open, in the grass, or how would you describe it?
They were off the road in the grass.
Did you know where to look in the grass?
At that time, I did, yeah.
Were you told where to look in the grass, or did you have to go look?
I was told of the area, and they were there.
I'm going to show you, Your Honor, this time permission to publish State's Exhibits 221, 223, 225, and 228.
Permission granted.
Thank you. Showing you first, Mr. Lee, what's in evidence in State's Exhibit 221. I know you testified earlier that the doors were in the grass, but this is not in the grass, but looking at this picture, do you recognize it?
Well, they looked like the doors, yeah.
And show me State's Exhibit 223. The other side door, does it look familiar to you?
Yeah, they look like Toyota burned doors.
So when you saw the door, well, first of all, when you saw the doors, could you tell it was from a Toyota?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the different makes and models? For example, between a Toyota and a Nissan and a American car, a Ford or Chevy?
Yeah, yes.
And then looking at State's Exhibit 245, I'm sorry, 225, you recognize that as well?
Yeah.
Were all 4 doors burned when you saw them in the grassy field by the old Maui High School?
Yes.
And last one, I believe, was 228. You recognize that as well?
Yes.
And were they in this condition that you see it now?
They look like they look a little rusty.
Now, Mr. Lee, when you were able to, I guess, lead Lieutenant Dodds to these 4 doors, you testified earlier that part of the discussion was he was going to pay you, is that correct?
Correct.
Did Lieutenant Dodds pay you money?
Yes.
And do you recall how much?
I believe it's $200 or $300.
And did you take it or accept it?
Yes.
Now, before you accepted or took the money, did you have to sign any type of papers or anything?
Yes.
Yeah, can you tell us what did you do?
Well, I was fingerprinted and then signed, I guess, release forms for the money.
So if you were fingerprinted? Do you know a person by the name of Christopher Finelli?
Yes.
How is it that you know Mr. Finelli?
From stripping cars from abandoned vehicle, recycling stuff.
On occasion, do you also see Mr. Finelli at the Peai or Jaws area?
Yeah, I've seen him there. Yes.
Now, Mr. Lee, that night when you first came across the burned Toyota 4Runner, was Mr. Finelli with you?
No.
Do you recall whether or not you spoke with him with respect to the burned Toyota 4Runner?
Yeah, I spoke with him sometime that evening.
I'm sorry?
Sometime after I saw the forerunner, I talked to him. The same evening.
And last series of questions, Mr. Lee. Respectfully, I'm going to ask you, do you have a criminal record?
Yes.
And what types of crimes have you been convicted of in the past?
Drug offenses.
Have you been convicted of any car thefts, UCPVs? And did you serve any jail time because of those drug convictions?
Yes.
Was this on the state side in Hawaii, or was this also on the federal side with the,
Both.
both federal and the state? And right now, who do you reside with, Mr. Lee?
Just me and my son.
And how old is your son?
6 years old.
And are you his primary caregiver at this time?
Yeah.
Are there, as far as you know, are there any pending charges against you, whether it's state court or federal court? Meaning, are you looking at any charges that haven't been resolved yet in either the state or the federal court?
Right now, I believe so.
And what is that?
I think it might be UCBP, I think.
UCPV, the car theft?
Could be.
Okay. Have you gone to court for that yet?
No.
And how is it that you know that that could be a potential charge?
Well, I borrowed a car that was,
Excuse me. Not sure that.
Yeah, you're, I was expecting a more legal response on it. I'll withdraw my question on that.
All right, I'll strike the answer. I want you to maybe a
Thank you.
statement about something that it doesn't directly relate to this matter.
Thank you. And just to finish this up, when you say you served some time because of the drug offenses, how long ago was that, Mr. Lee?
1999. I convicted in.
I'm sorry, 1999 is when you started,
Yes.
and then was that how many?
Well, that was for the federal side.
And how about for the state side?
State was early 90s.
And those are all resolved already? Are you on probation or parole at this time? Good, I have no further questions. Good, thank you, Mr. Lee.
All right. Do you have cross-examination for this witness?
I do, and then,
Go with.
if you want me to go, I can go, or I can wait.
You know, he does have something at 2 o'clock where Mr. Lee has to pick up his son.
All right, go ahead.
I just have some good questions, Mr. Lee.
Yes.
You know that you have pending charges because you were arrested in January of this year on those charges, right?
No.
You weren't arrested on January 8th by Officer June Lee Casio regarding unauthorized control of a propelled vehicle
January?
for a car that was supposedly stolen a couple years ago, right? Well, let me ask you then, how do you know you're being charged? Other than, without admitting anything, how do you know you have pending charges?
I have a court date,
Okay, when is your court date?
29th of this month.
Okay, and you've been to prison before?
Yes.
And you know that if you get convicted of another felony after you've already been to prison on a felony, you're probably going to get prison, right?
Judge, objection, Your Honor, that calls for speculation, especially during the time period that's going to be testified to.
Was the motive by his interests?
The objection is sustained.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know what, actually, let me change that, I'll overrule the objection.
I mean,
I think though, you might need to rephrase that question.
let me just ask you, you know I go prison on that, right?
If you're guilty, yeah.
I'm sorry?
If you're guilty,
No, but you'd agree with me, you don't want to go to prison on this new charge, right?
for any reason.
And I, oh, where did you live back in February of 2014?
And Hilly Road,
Did you I guess, rent or lease or own a property?
work trade,
Work trade with,
work with Alex Bodie.
okay, wasn't Alex dead? Or in jail?
No.
What was he?
He passed away a year ago or less, just about a year now.
Would you agree with me that you were ultimately evicted from that place, right?
Judge, objection, this has no relevance.
He testified about where he lives, I'm just cross-examining on it.
That has no
The,
relevance.
I'll sustain the objection in terms of, if you want to ask where he lived at the time, that's fine, I think you've already done that. What occurred after, in the court's view, would not be relevant.
Well, you agree with me that where you were living living unlawfully, right?
No.
Were you allowed to-
Is the answer no?
No.
Thank you.
Were you allowed to continue living there?
From what time?
Well, let me ask you this, weren't you kicked out of there at some point?
Judge, objection, this has no relevance.
Illegally.
The objection is sustained.
Back in February of 2014, did you have a job?
Yes.
What was your job?
Mechanic,
And who were you working for?
self-employed.
And I guess let me ask you this. Did you, I mean, you testified that you thought your observations were on a Monday, for example, when you testified. Did you keep track of days back in February of 2014?
No.
You didn't keep track of dates or days, did you?
No.
And you'd agree with me that when you came up with that day that you testified about, was a Monday night, you believed it was a Monday night. You believed that because Detective Dodds told you that night, right?
No.
Well, you'd agree with me, you didn't actually know that it was a Monday night, right?
From when? What time? From what day?
I mean, basically, you'd agree with me that for the right amount of money, you'd say anything that Detective Dodds wants you to say, right?
No.
You think that's funny?
Yeah.
Because you know it's true, right?
No, it's not true.
You recall being interviewed by Officer Keoki Santos at some point?
No.
You don't recall back on, well, let me ask you this. If I showed you a police report from an officer that supposedly has your statement in it, would it refresh your recollection as to whether you spoke with that officer?
Possibly.
I'm sorry, your testimony was that you did speak with Chris Finelli after you had observed that forerunner that you testified about, right?
Yes.
Mr. Lee, if I could show you a copy of Officer Kyoki Santos's report, and if you could take a look at the statement in there, and if I may help him scroll,
Yes.
if you could refresh your recollection.
Is that the day after God's?
Yes. You recall that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that, and I guess let me just go ahead and let you refresh your recollection. Because I'm going to ask you about this part. Okay, now, isn't it true that when you were interviewed by Officer Kyoki Santos, you stated to him that you did not call Chris Fanelli about the burnt vehicle? Isn't that accurate?
That sounds about right. I don't remember calling him. That's what I said the first time.
But then you corrected yourself and said you did call him, right?
I'm not sure. He called me or I called him.
Yeah. And in terms of this paper that you signed when you got your money from Detective Dodds, that would be basically an agreement for you to be a confidential informant for him, right?
No.
Well, what, to your knowledge, were you signing?
It was a release form, so they kept track of the money that he got the money from.
Would you agree that under the circumstances you were a confidential informant?
No.
Objection, Your Honor, this is vague and ambiguous, also speculation on Mr. Lee's part.
I'll overrule the objection. The question's been answered.
And I guess one final question. You testified that with some great effort you were able to track down those doors. Who was it that you talked about that told you where the doors were?
I don't answer that.
I'm sorry?
That wasn't ever asked. No one ever asked me that.
Well, I'm asking you that.
No, that's confidential.
Did you ever tell Detective Dodds who it was?
No.
So if Detective Dodds didn't know who it was, fair to say he couldn't follow up on that person's involvement in anything, right?
Correct.
No further questions.
Any redirect examination?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any juror questions?
No.
Thank you very much. You are excused. We will take our lunch recess at this time, and let's reconvene at 1:45.
Sports recess.